Hello everyone, Nordic Beast here, and welcome back to the Shipyard. So I said this episode I would show the aircraft I've been working on, and here we go, and a couple of vehicles. So let's go ahead and address the large helicarrier in the room, and basically I wanted to make something like a helicarrier in layout. I tried to make something different that looked just terrible. I wasn't going anywhere with it. So I scrapped it, and I was relaxing, watching a movie, and started building this. Originally, I kind of wanted like a floating air station. That's why there's all the connectors you see on top. So you could just come up, dock, charge, and off you go. Get supplies and fuel, whatever you needed. It eventually turned into a flying base. Originally, I wasn't going to put a refinery on here, but as you see, I have one. And it's supposed to have an assembler under here, which I will put in. I realized this a while back, changed it. Apparently, I did not update the blueprint. So, it's very slow and sluggish. It's near 1,000,000 kilograms and runs off of a single gyro, which is right there. Keep getting these damn lag spikes. So much for a stable version of the game, huh? Anyway, it has a large cargo container and a large reactor. See, we got the two doors on either side, but I tend to keep them open. I like them being open. But if something was parked in here, like a utility ship, that would, the doors would be closed. So you see, I got 4 cryo pods and a med bay. And this absolutely gorgeous view out of the gondola. Not only that, the pilot seat gets a really good view as well. Turn on the lights here too. You see there's lights on the bottom that light up the area. Well, you can't see them as much since we're on the ground. But when flying over at night, it's pretty good, which actually it's starting to get dark. I set all this up and then it just kind of naturally started getting that way. Oh well. So, as I mentioned in my last episode, me and actually in my update, me and Fifth and a bunch of other people, Wiseman, Orange, and Izzy, we were all playing in a survival world, and this was the vehicle I made. Now, this is called the Eagle Owl, and it is based off of my other hovercopter designs with the whale tail. So I'm going to call this from now on, the whale tail design, which actually is missing a piece in this blueprint. Come on. Let's go. I don't know why with the lag today. Wonder if I've got something running in the background. I don't know. Anyway, no connector. It does not run on batteries like my other ones. It runs on a single large reactor, which you can see in there. A lot of the physical structure is the same. I went with these with the wheel design instead of the skids, which is lighter. Not as strong though. I've had several occasions where just randomly I would land just half an inch too high of a drop and boom, they explode. Very frustrating. Now, you can carry cargo in the cockpit and in the seats. When you jump in the seats, if you go to inventory, there we go, see passenger seat, bam. Now, I'm in creative right now, so you can't see the mass or volume that you can carry, but you can carry some material in there, and I have loaded this thing up in all 5 seats, which for the survival that we were playing wasn't all that bad. I mean, for the most part, it was me, Fifth, Izzy, and Wiseman, and sometimes Orange would be in there. There's a couple of times Dracul and Wizard had joined. I believe the Carthian had been in there as well, but this was more than enough seats for the usual group that was on. And I flew everywhere in this damn thing. I absolutely love it. Now, instead of the connector, it also has a landing gear on the bottom. The reason for that is this guy. Since I couldn't really fit anything in here that looked good cargo-wise, like a medium cargo container, I decided to make a separate pod for it. And this is my survival pod, which runs off of 1 reactor. It has an emergency beacon, as well as spotlights to light up whatever area you land this in. It has an oxygen generator, so say if you're on an alien world, you can produce oxygen. And also, being as if you're working from this thing, you can put your hydrogen tanks in there to refill hydrogen. Otherwise, it wouldn't have this on here pretty much at all, unless it was for like the alien world or the or like a moon or something like that. But yeah, as soon as I thought about that, I'm like, wow, you could just recharge your hydrogen tanks here. You wouldn't have to use anything else. And then medium cargo container on this side, which is quite a bit of cargo, as well as in the seats. And then a collector on top. Now, the reason I went for a collector instead of, say, a connector and, say, maybe another cargo container or a six-way conveyor was, with this, it doesn't matter what kind of cargo setup you have, meaning your connector or ejectors. It doesn't matter which way you set it up. Just use them to, dump everything out directly into this. So, say you drop this off at a mine. You take your atmospheric drill ship, take this with you, drop it off, drill, and you can use this as extra storage. Or you load this thing up, say put 2 people on here, drop it off somewhere, have them build something, like a house or a waypoint station or something, whatever you want. So this thing here actually flies quite well. Oh, apparently. Oh, I burned out that light. So yeah, this thing handles pretty well. I mean, it's almost 30,000 kilograms with a single gyro, so it rolls a little slow, but I mean, it turns just fine. And yeah, it handles amazingly well. If you look, there's also little pylons right where the thrusters are, the large ones, and that is designed for additional weapons, which I did eventually use. I put a Gatling on one side and a rocket launcher on the other. And me and Fifth flew his big ship to an alien world with this strapped onto the back of it. His ship is called the Death Drop, which everybody contributed a bit of design work to it. And then we flew around the planet in my Eagle Owl. So here we go. Boop. Grab that. As you see, I can just lift it up, and off I go. Now, in our survival, I flew around with this thing just fine. Actually, I loaded it up one time. Well, I loaded the Eagle Owl up, all 5 seats, as well as the survival pod, and I went and built this big bridge that crosses a river. Actually, I think it was a lake. A big bridge that crosses a lake, and then I built an underground fort. There wasn't much to it. It was more like a doomsday shelter. Yep, just drop. And yeah, that nice stable wide set gear on it. Well, not even gear. I guess just claws. Works just fine. So go ahead and land. Boom. So yeah, that's the Eagle Owl. I might post that one. This thing is infinitely useful. I love flying it everywhere. And I have these 4 rear thrusters set up so that you can just actually take a look at the toolbar here. They're set to override. Ooh, wrong button. Let's try that again. So as you can see, I can just thrust if I wanted, which is so handy for cruise control. So this here is the Hellshot, or I'm sorry, Hellfire. The missiles on the Swan was the Hellshot. This is the Hellfire. This is kind of like the next step of my attack hovercopters. I saw something that looked similar to the Orca when I was in the workshop one day, and it was mostly the thrusters you see underneath, just the 2 large ones pointing down. And I kind of like that instead of having them out like on the Orca they were in. And I ended up building this just off of exactly that. And I use Whiplash's sequenced weapons script, which, oh my god, ever since Marcelo told me about this thing, whoo, I just love it. As you can see, it has a tricycle landing gear, or tail dragger, however you want to call it. Now, the Gatling guns are an afterthought. It's not really meant to use them unless it has to. But the rockets are its main armament. It's just come in, hit with all 4 rockets, and off you go. It handles pretty well, considering it's 35,000 kilograms, but it has a lot of thrust. Now, side-to-side thrust is actually a little weak, I'm noticing. But as you see, I also have little decoy blocks here on the wingtips. So soon I will do a mass posting of all the things I should have been posting on the workshop soon, and this will be amongst them, as well as the Eagle Owl and some of the other vehicles you see parked there. Alright, so good. Bring this in. This also has a little camera housing on the top, just like my other attack copter design, the Sioux. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the Sax, not the Sioux. Where did I come up with the Sioux? God, I'm all over the place today. That's what I get for not recording as much as I used to. Okay, so this here is also another inspired design for something on the workshop. It was a glider using the wing mod, and I thought to myself, wow, I've made a couple of vehicles recently with solar panel wings, but I never really thought to kind of go with like bigger wings, and so I kind of did that. That's essentially where the similarity ends. I just like the wing design. So, and this is supposed to be just like a getting around vehicle. It is battery powered, uses the solar panels, and then it has a reactor back here that is off. That is only in case of emergencies. So as you see, it has one thruster forward. On the other wing, it has a reverse. There's 3 on the bottom. I tried my hardest to finagle it down to 2, and it does fly on 2, just not particularly well. So yeah, this thing, it flies relatively well. It's very simple to build and to maintain. Again, the idea is just to have something to get around a planet efficiently. I'm glad I did not hit my big airship, which, oh, by the way, I did not mention the airship does not have a name, and I just need to do like pretty much like a final paint job on it. That's about it. So this thing I just named the Flyer, and there's actually another one behind it that's a Flyer, which I will show you here next. But as you see, I just went with the same design that's on the tail of my other hovercopters. And I wanted this thing to feel more like an airplane than like my hovercopters, how they feel like helicopters, you know. So, I got a little light here, and that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot to it. There's one battery in there, and then you also have, I think it's only the 2 cargo containers? Yeah. And so there's one on either side. Again, not much to it. It's just meant as a getting around vehicle, that's it. So, I'm going to show this thing first, and that one. This thing, I did actually see this essentially on the workshop. It was, they referred to it as an ultralight, and so I tried to do my own. Same thing, I went with a battery. Theirs was reactor powered. This thing isn't anything official. This was more of an experiment, see what I could do, and came up with a lot of fun things. First off, you see I got script set up here on a little LCD, and I like the view from it. You got a little camera up here too. Here's the fun part. So from back here you can't really see forward, but you can still fly the vehicle. And you have a panel up here. And I really liked that idea that you could fly from the back seat in case of an emergency, and you could still have all your stats. So, otherwise not much to it. It's very similar in layout to the design I had seen, the ultralight, except for, like, you know, putting thrusters in more directions than just back. I think it was just back and down, and that was it. There was no mods or anything to it, so I just kind of wanted to roll with it. I don't like it all that much. I'm probably not going to use it, but I just thought there were some really interesting features I ended up putting in here, especially the LCD on the ceiling. I really like that. That and how I finagled the lights into the wingtips. So now the reason I went with like these wingtip thrusters is because of this design. So this is actually the first out of all these that you see here that I had put together. I built this for 5th. Does it show the name? No, it does not. It's called the 5th Wing. And I designed this little getting around airplane that 5th really liked. I wasn't going to use it anymore. He asked if he could rebuild. It had gotten broken. The cockpit had been ran over by Wiseman. Thanks, Wiseman. Good job. He's not allowed to fly anything anymore, by the way. He kept crashing stuff. But he was allowed to drive, even though he drove through the cockpit on my little ship. But anyway, so I built this for 5th. I ended up building it very quickly. We had the idea of using the solar panels for wings, which is why these two appealed to me so much. Again, when I saw like rough concepts of them, because I worked on this one, and then this one just to toy with, and that's when, again, I saw like that glider design. I'm like, that would be really good for the solar panel wings, and went from there. So I did build this for 5th. Actually, well, I gave him the blueprint, he built it, and he made some modifications to it. Back here, as you see, I got a reactor there and all that. He put in a couple extra reactors and conveyed them all together. And then very limited amount of like cargo and stuff like that, you see. Okay, yeah, he had I think he did another reactor over here, something like that. So it was, overall, it's a pretty good design. It flies well, and it's another just getting around vehicle. Essentially what this is, but smaller. But with the solar panels, that just helps mitigate how much power you use overall. So this I've shown before, my Loki design, and I actually posted it a while back, and this is an upgraded version. So after I finally had met Marcelo, there was a couple of things he did that I really liked that is actually on like the Hellfire over there, and this, which is decoys on the wingtips. And this one I kind of went with like a wingtip fuel tank design. So I have to turn some lights on soon. Thanks, space engineers. And since the bottom of the vehicle has a large thruster and 2 small, my original design only had 1 large thruster. I was able to finagle in 2 small ones to give it equal rearward thrust as well as vertical thrust. And overall, this works way better. This is a much better design, and I will probably update my current Loki to this. And yeah, this is like essentially my official atmospheric fighter. I really love this design. Not only did it turn out well, but it's inexpensive to build as far as a fighter goes, and it's effective. I mean, just 2 cannons, 2 rocket launchers, yeah, but again, easy to build, easy to fly, and decent armament. So this is all you would need out of an atmospheric fighter. It's not the fastest, it's not the most maneuverable, but it would definitely get the job done for a good price. So that's pretty much it for my flying vehicles. So down here, I haven't done too much on vehicles, but first, my Scythe nuclear motorcycle, I tried to make one with the fighter cockpit. Yeah, it's not as pretty. Wiseman tried to build a few different versions with like big wheels and things like, ooh, oh, there we go. This one, it's a little heavier, but not by much, and it would technically be a little stronger. Whoa. Wow, this thing is feeling a little wonky. Do I get the gyro set up right? Yeah, okay, I do. It just doesn't feel right. Weird. Anyway, yeah, it's a little bit heavier, and it would be a little bit tougher in theory because the cockpit has more components, making it stronger, but it just, God, it looks terrible. Just terrible. So yeah, that's kind of a failed experiment in a further motorcycle. Now, I did try to make using a rotor, like in the front, and then thrusters and all that, hoping I could come up with like a design similar to this that would work but was smaller. Yeah, that was a failed experiment too. God, it doesn't handle anywhere near as good. It doesn't go as fast. It breaks easy, so yeah. Essentially, I'm just going to stick with the Scythe. Now this here is actually Marcelo's design, the Serval LAV, and I really, really like the design of it. I believe he designed this before Planets, and it's a really solid vehicle. I like the design, so I tried to make my own version of it. I did scratch build this, but a lot of the layout and everything is identical. The superstructure is a bit different, and it also has a rear seat. And I kind of went with these air vents, which these air vents are functional to kind of look like exhaust ports. The other thing I really worked on was a recessed cockpit that you could see out of. So it does have little windows to the sides. I had one version that had windows up. Apparently I don't have it on this, which, if I recall correctly, it didn't look all that great. So I'm still having trouble getting this thing to drive properly. Like, I've been taking a lot of solace in the fact that I'm pretty good with wheels now. For some reason, this design, I cannot get it to work quite right. It might just be Space Engineers changing settings and everything, so, you know, give it a try. Well, first off, there was an explosion here, so... Will you go? No? How about I get you out of the crater that was there? I had Cyberhounds on, and I put these little landmines that DHR Mike had made, these guys here. And, of course, the dogs went at them like they were just the tastiest thing ever and blew that one up. Dumb fucking dogs. But yeah, after I got everything posted in, I went and changed it. So, alright, let's see. Do you want to go? Alright. Oh, you know what? It might be wheel suspension height. Oh, yeah, that's right. Travel. Change that. How about now? No? Wow, the damn thing doesn't even want to go. Wait, I saw a wheel move. I might just have something set up wrong. I don't know. The original design was working just fine. And then one day I loaded this thing up and it was like, nope, I don't want to go. How about now? There we go. I must have just had it sitting on the suspension somehow. Or like on the wheels, I mean. So the only real issue with this is that it's a bit top heavy. And yeah, that's predominantly it. But you could put a rocket launcher on it, or even take out all the internals and, you know, put a couple of seats in it, make it like a small troop transport, something like that. I don't know. I really like the idea of it, and I just wanted to toy with it. So I'm probably not going to keep this design because, you know, it is Marcella's after all. But I figured I'd show what I had done with it. So I really liked it. And that's pretty much it for now. So if you guys enjoyed that episode, please hit the like button, and I will see you guys next time.